Hi, welcome aboard the Jesu Otaku anime review. Why was this one so hard to guess, I wonder? It's only a 2000s continuation slash slight alternate retelling of a 70s series, which became a manga in a different continuity, which was turned into a 90s series in a different continuity, but it's best known as a movie from the 80s, which is in a different continuity, of course, unless you count that one buddy comedy, which was also in a I'm confusing myself, and I'm going to stop talking now. To clarify all that mess I went through in the intro, well, it's safe to say that Captain Herlock has a massive legacy in Japan. He's the most well-known creation of the granddaddy of all space opera, Leiji Matsumoto, and his many stories have often been referred to and revered as the Leijiverse. Why isn't it popular in America? It's not like. This is the anime equivalent of Star Trek, which just isn't geared at the average anime fan over here. So after the original series had debuted in the 70s, Herlock's success became a cash cow that turned into a truckload of spin-offs, all of which changed the continuity completely, with only Herlock himself as the common denominator. This rendition here, despite the fact that it misspells his name in some kind of weird translation romanization thing, I don't know, is the first return to the original story and characters of space pirate Herlock from the 70s, albeit with a little more panache.
Savvy?
In the far distant future, a universal government has finally eradicated the threat of space piracy in its attempt to unify the universe. Mankind has become complacent, leaving Earth to live on frontier planets or hide out in trash heaps, longing for the days of adventure when Herlock was around and people were free to explore the galaxy. Sadly, Herlock vanished years ago and his crew was rounded up and imprisoned. One punk amongst the trash heaps, Tadashi Daiba, dreams of being a real man like Herlock while rebelling against his father, who was once a compatriot of the legendary pirate, but devoted his life to research over his son. A choice that would soon bring about his demise.
Before you go, I would like to know your names.
These bodies are incapable of pronouncing our true names. As a substitute, you may call us New.
My dad is dead now.
Learn to treat those that have passed away, holding on to their beliefs, with respect. That is what a real man does. If you want to become a real man, then come aboard my ship.
Daiba swears vengeance on the mysterious zombies and joins the starship Arcadia to rescue Herlock's old crew and save the universe from the supernatural force of Nu, the root of all fear and evil in the hearts of mankind. It was come to take back its kingdom on the earth and eradicate order and freedom once and for all. On the technical side of things, this show has some of, if not the, most intricate and stunning background art of any anime, and wonderfully detailed, although clearly 70s nostalgic, character designs. The animation of these elements is completely flawless as well, for this 13-episode OVA was created as an updated tribute to the original series, so the creators got the biggest guns they could for every aspect of production.
You're under arrest, Herlock! I want to know one thing. Are you here because you're following the will of others, or are you here on your own will?
I'll have you know that I, for one, came here not because I was told to, but because I wanted to.
I see. Then you must have been prepared for the worst.
Technically speaking, this is an amazing spectacle for a television series from beginning to end, which means it's a little unfortunate that you'll have to spend your time reading all those subtitles, because the dub does not do this vision justice. It's not worth wasting time on. It isn't bad, no, but there are far too many boring unknowns present alongside voice actors that are known for being wooden and lackluster in all their roles. The entire cast sounds tired, and it's just no good for an epic like Herlock's. The only truly well-cast role is young Tadashi, but even he is outshined by fabulous seiyuu Tomokazu Seiki, who is the go-to guy for young whippersnappers with heart. By contrast, the Japanese is filled with veterans like Seiki and Koichi Yamadera as the captain himself, who fill their roles with resonance and charm, so do yourself a favor and stick to the sub here. Despite the all-star creation team, anyone who's been watching anime very long knows many a turd is wrapped in pretty paper. Herlock's adventures are entertaining, but characters have never, ever been his strong suit, and this new OVA is no exception. I didn't name off his crew members in the intro because they barely count as window dressing. His blonde babe Kei Yuki and First Officer Yatharan actually get things to do sometimes, but even then there's no development for these talking heads, and that has always been the case. Their designs make them distinctive, but their personalities barely live up to being stereotypes. Honestly, Daiba, the only other important character, barely even matters. He's essential because he gives Herlock someone to play off of, and his emotional conflict with his father's beliefs provides a great surprise conclusion for the story. But he's still not used to half his full potential, and spends most of his time doing what the rest of us are doing. Gawking at how incredibly awesome Herlock is. The show's saving grace, as ridiculous as this may seem, is that Herlock could carry it all by his lonesome. Captain Herlock is an awe-inspiring character that more American fans should check out in some form. In terms of classic anime legends, if Shinichi Kudo is Sherlock Holmes, and Lupin III is Indiana Jones / James Bond, Herlock is the classic anime equivalent of Jean Picard and Rambo and a little bit of Chuck Norris. Actually, scratch that. I think Chuck Norris checks his closet every night before bed to make sure Captain Herlock is not in it. He's not a hero, and he's not a real great role model, but he's still fascinating, oddly admirable, and the epitome of manliness. Seriously, he's ballsier than 12 communists, maybe 20 from Gurren Lagann, and I'm not just shooting for hyperbole. The essence of all evil and fear and corruption could squish its massive evil claws into his heart, and he would barely twitch an eyebrow. Oh, I'm not being metaphorical, that actually happens.
You will obey our commands.
Get lost.
Herlock tells his crew that true freedom comes from following one's own will, as long as you can be proud of what you believe in. So he never commands his crew to do anything, but rather assigns them to posts befitting their worth, and leaves everything up to their judgment, only making calls when things really come down to it. And this works a lot better than it sounds for Herlock. But the key reason Herlock doesn't work real well stateside comes back to his Star Trek syndrome. Herlock is mature, thought-provoking, and honestly,
it's slow.
it's just as oozy as an episode of Next Generation, but instead of talking way too much, the characters barely speak at all. The writing is excellent, however, not a single word is wasted, but Herlock is catered to all the hardcore science fiction lovers among us, complete with technobabble, dimensional mind frags, and harsh themes about man's relation to nature and technology. It's not for everyone, but if high-concept adventure and an incredible lead character are all you need to be happy, I can't recommend Endless Odyssey enough. Captain Herlock Endless Odyssey was available from Pioneer Geneon, and you know what that means. Used copies are your only hope for experiencing this voyage. I could not begin to name how many manga and anime Leiji Matsumoto's character has spawned. Oh, thank God for red text. But of all the other options for meeting Herlock, I recommend most the 1982 film Arcadia of My Youth for its striking visuals and backstory, and the original 70s series that started it all and would normally be completely unavailable, but has recently been added to Funimation's video portal and can be watched with subs for free.
And there was much rejoicing.
All in all, Captain Herlock is a quality masterwork in all its multiple incarnations, and his character is legendary enough to carry all of them, Endless Odyssey being the newest and the shortest, but fully deserving of the renown of its predecessors. Still, one of the reasons he never made it big in America was because of his limited appeal. Hardcore sci-fi lovers only need apply to this cerebral space opera, but they will find everything they're looking for and more. I'll award this legendary space pirate his fair due as an icon and give this voyage 3 very manly speeches.
Whether or not New revives has little to do with me. I live my life as I choose to live it. If you are someone who is willing to break an oath, then I will have no choice but to kill you. No one here on this ship will be overtaken by fear.
Out of 4. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a very important mission to attend to.